Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel, and it is Saturday, which means it is time for Star Trek. And of course, I am joined by my good friend Skeptalk,
Hi, everybody.
and Hammer will be joining us just a moment. He's just grabbing a drink. And of course, unfortunately, Irate is in football land, so he is not joining us today. But I'm sure he's with us in spirit.
If Alabama is playing, he may not even be with us in spirit, but
No,
I'm
he
sure
may not.
he'll watch the replay of this, and then he'll be with us in spirit. Then, so it will be post hoc spirit.
It will. It
All
will.
right. So anyway,
Today,
how have you been, Blind Press?
I've been
Nobody ever asks you
okay.
how have you been.
I've been okay. I've been in a lot of pain this week,
I know.
but I'm pushing through it. I jumped on the elliptical and kind of just took it a bit slow
Yeah.
and worked some of the muscles around my spine and just kind of stretched out and been trying to just do what I can.
Yeah. It's, all we can do is what we can. But anyway, would like to remind everybody to like, share, and subscribe. And Blind Press has merch at blindpress.net. Just get all the shilling and stuff out of the way here before we get started.
And if you don't have quite enough money to buy something, you can always throw a few shekels also at blindpress.net.
And it really helps if
It
you
does.
share the stream and
Yes.
share Blind Press's merch link. Just throw that link, just throw the link in once a day. This is what I do. I throw the link in my Twitter thing and tweet out her link once a day. And you would be surprised what that does to help somebody who's trying to get a little bit of a merch deal going like Blind Press. So if we can help a friend out, let's do that. All right. Without further ado,
Let's jump into this.
what in the world of Star Trek are we talking about today?
So today we are breaking down the original series main cast. Last week we did Enterprise. We did the bridge crew of Enterprise.
I don't remember who was on the original cast. What were their names?
So we've
They're funny.
We've got Captain Kirk, Spock, Sulu, Chekhov, Uhura, McCoy,
And Nurse
and
Chapel.
Scotty, and Nurse Chapel.
Now,
'Cause I think we were
Skeptalk has to
requested.
name the actual actors' names for each one of those characters.
No, I don't. No.
Well, I can. I don't think I can.
No, of course you can't. James Doohan, Nichelle Nichols,
Right?
I think
let's
the
see,
only
DeForest
person-
Kelly.
Yep.
Uh, uh,
You're doing good. Keep going.
let's see, James Kirk. What was his name?
Seriously?
Seriously?
And
Bill
you know,
Shatner.
William Shatner, of course. And then let's see, who am I missing? I'm missing Spock. Spock was. Why am I drawing a blank on Spock?
Are you actually drawing a
I
blank
am.
on
I am.
Spock, or
I'm
are you
actually
just
having.
fucking with me?
No, I'm actually having a senior moment on Spock because Leonard Nimoy. Wow, what? How the hell did that happen? I really did have just one of those. You're on the spot. You can't think. I'm going to fuck with you. I'm a demon. I'm going to fuck with your mind. Let's see. And now,
Chapel's the only one I won't
Major
know.
Barrett.
That's it.
Yep.
Was Nurse Chapel.
You can do this. I knew you could do this. You're just shitting with us.
Yeah.
Check
And
off and Sulu.
let's see. Sulu was
Oh my.
no, hang on. It's the I almost said faggot, but we don't say, we're not allowed
You
to
didn't
say that.
say it.
If the shoe fits, and
We
he's
don't-
not, and I don't mean the gay faggot. I mean the
exactly.
annoying faggot.
Let's see. I know his name so well. I cannot think of Sulu. I know.
Guy.
Yeah, George George Takai. And let's see. Chekhov. Chekhov was Walter Koenig, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
The only one I would have
Who did I
blanked
miss?
on was Chapel. And as soon as you said her name, I it clicked. But I
Yeah.
would have blanked
well, she
on
was
Chapel.
married to
Gene Roddenberry.
Gene Roddenberry,
Yep.
the
And didn't she also do Loxana?
Yep.
Yep.
and the computer voice.
And the computer.
So a lot
George
of
Takei is
order.
evil. Yes.
Yes, he is. He is
he
fucking
is-
fuck him. Yeah,
Yeah.
No, he's not evil. He's just a Democrat. That's all.
well, he's just a Democrat. I mean, he takes
He
Democrats.
doesn't know
makes
any
it
better,
dumb.
the poor boy.
I got to use that more often.
What
Really?
was it that Kara said? Bless his heart, the thin-skinned pussy.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh boy.
Anyway,
Yeah, that's the.
I can't believe you have such hate in your heart.
Yeah,
I just read
That's a
some of the
little-
things that he says, and I
Little
just
nod to Matt Christensen there. Sorry.
yeah.
yeah. Now that's the thing of it. There's everybody knows there's not a bit of hate. People who know me know
No, I don't hate
what's
him.
in my family, know that there's no more tolerant and understanding person about alternative lifestyles than me. But that said, when somebody comes out and uses it as a bludgeon to say I'm better than you are, and because you don't agree with me, you're a bad person, that's where I draw the line. That's when I say no, you're the bad person, and that's what I'm saying about Sulu. He just virtue signaled himself out of being a charming second banana player in a great series. He could have been a charming person and a fan favorite into being a goose-stepping SJW. And for that reason, it made him unlikable. And it unfortunately back-colored all his all of his performances.
I
for
try
me.
not to let it. I
just
I
does,
still
yeah.
enjoy watching Sulu. Like in Undiscovered Country, when he flew in and to the rescue, I was still like, yeah, Sulu, right? Like I try really
did,
hard.
But I have to just draw a curtain. I just
Yeah.
he becomes not Sulu. He becomes just the rescuer.
It was a great part of that movie where they're trying to get to where the Enterprise is getting his ass kicked, and he's in the captain's chair. And he says, "Come on, come on!"
Yeah.
And the guy says, "She's going to fly apart." He says, "Fly her apart, then." And
Yeah.
it just was very.
Yes.
I was like, yes, that's
Yes.
damn right. That's exactly how it should be. And
That's the
perfect.
spirit of Star Trek, right there.
Yes, right there. That is exactly Star Trek, right there.
Yep.
I don't care. I'm going to save my captain.
Yep.
Kind of deal. I was like, oh yeah, I love that. Too bad the actor is not as great as his character.
Yes. Well said.
So
Very
shall
well
we
said.
do this the way that we did last
Yes.
week and go captain down?
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Okay, so the Great
Kirk's awesome.
Kirk.
Next.
Kirk is awesome next.
Yeah.
No,
best captain ever.
I think that's hard. That's hard.
You're best at what? Best at what you have. I mean, you almost have to do them by categories.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to consider there. Best at not getting his people killed? Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
But I mean, Kirk is
Best gunslinger.
best gunslinger,
Best
Yes.
gunslinger
Best-
by far.
best
Class
action taker.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would think-
Risk taker. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very risk-taking captain. He's very
He was Gene Autry in space, basically.
He did have second guesses. When he destroyed the Enterprise, he turns to Bones and said, "Oh my God, Bones, what have I done?" And Bones
what
says,
you had to do.
"What you had to do, what you always do. You turn death into a chance for life."
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, he is a risk taker, but he's willing to pay the money if he has to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's another one I
Great
wouldn't want to
captain.
play poker with.
No, I would play Fizbin against him though
him
on a
and
Tuesday
Riker.
at
Him
night.
and Riker I would never play poker against.
He's much more like Riker
Yeah.
than he is like the lady captain.
Well, the whole point of Next Generation was to split Picard or to split
Kirk into
Kirk
two.
into two pieces, where Picard
Yes.
became his intellectual side and Riker became the gunslinger.
Yeah.
But Picard became a force unto
Oh,
himself.
yes, he
He
did.
became greatness in a
And we'll
In his
talk
own
about
right,
that
yes.
next week.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I know.
Well,
Because
Spoilers.
well, I've got
being a
a
host here.
lot to say
Well done.
about Picard. But anyway,
But
let's
so
go back to him.
Kirk is. But the other thing is he may be a gunslinger, you know, risk taker, but he's also a man who cares deeply about his crew.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He's not going to step on his crew to achieve what he needs to achieve.
He's always willing to take the biggest risk first.
Yes.
You can
If-
see it on his face
Yeah.
whenever one of the red shirts died. He is livid.
I think he's one of the only captains that actually is livid. Like they,
You're gonna pay for this.
yeah, like
There's revenge.
The first time an ensign dies on the Next Generation ship and on Voyager ship, they get pissed off, right? But then it's just like, oh shit, we lost another one.
It's not
But
even revenge.
with
It's more like
Kirk-
retribution. You know.
But with Kirk, every time you lose a red shirt, he's like,
This
I
is-
lost a man. This is an
Yes.
affront to
This
me.
is unacceptable. Yeah.
Yeah, this is not.
I think
okay.
later on we matured to a point where we realized this is going to happen.
Yeah,
We don't like it to happen, but it's going to happen. Kirk was of the feeling that this should never happen under
Yeah.
any circumstances, and that's not really realistic.
I agree. I
Made for
think
great drama, that too.
I
Jonathan.
think you're right because there's a scene that actually upholds that in I think it's the first half of Best of Both Worlds where they're attacked and Picard asks, for Lieutenant so and so and they said, Lieutenant so and so he's dead, sir. He didn't make it. And there's this pause, like oh fuck, pause.
Mhm.
And then Picard goes, "Is everyone else all right?" Which is absolutely what would happen
Yep.
in a battle scenario. It would be
Yes.
shit. We lost one. Okay,
What is
shelve
the
that for
condition of
later.
What's the condition of everybody else?
Yeah, shelve
Yeah.
that for later. We'll deal with it later. Is everyone else okay? Kirk is much more
In the moment.
takes it personally. It's in the moment. It's a it's a wound at that for him.
Yeah.
And I think that actually helps his character. I'm not sure what type of flaw you could ascribe to him other than maybe his ego. Because Kirk does have an ego. You can't, there's, there's no way around Kirk's ego. And you see it especially in the first, the motion picture when he basically, for no reason other than the fact that he misses being in space, cashiers Decker.
Mm.
And Decker knows it.
You have to have a certain amount of ego to be the ladies' man anyway. I mean, it's not just confidence. There's a certain amount of it's not just I find someone attractive, I'm going to pursue them, but it's more than that. It's more than just wanting to have a relationship or whatever. It's a conquer, and he's conquering, and that's ego.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
That's a guy thing.
Yeah.
It is a guy thing.
That is just a guy thing. You almost have to be a guy to understand that. I really think so. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being very chauvinistic there.
But yeah, no,
Uh,
I think that his ego is pretty much on point. What were you going to say, Skip?
no, it's possible I'm being very chauvinistic. That's all I was saying. Anyway,
But do you think it affects his command, though? His ego, like in a bad way at all?
yeah,
Because
Oh,
I
yes
do.
and no. Yes and no.
it makes him and it's delightful because sometimes they stir it into the plot,
Mm-hmm.
and he oversteps himself, and he realizes that, and he lets it, he gets played occasionally, uh, on account of his ego. His enemies get the better of him on account of his ego, and he realizes that they use that in any number of plots, and then of course he realizes that, comes back and one ups the other side, usually in the same way, with a twist,
Yeah.
and utterly destroys them and comes out victorious and wins the girl. So
I think I'm more along the lines of agreeing with Skep. I think that his ego has affected his command at some points, but I also think that this brings that up to another part of his personality that's an awesome strength, and that is when he's too involved in his ego or in the situation, he's smart enough to listen to his crew. He's smart enough to listen to Spock and McCoy when they go, Captain,
Mhm.
you done fucked up.
yep.
um, like, and that's the, like, if you compare him to somebody like Janeway, who will basically tell her first officer, I don't care that I screwed up. In fact, you're relieved for pointing out that I screwed up. Like, Kirk will go, maybe I did.
Janeway is like, don't be mansplaining to me.
Yeah.
you know Nobody can tell me what to do, and uh I actually find that kind of superficial, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But with with Kirk, Kirk is a complicated man.
Yeah.
I mean, it irritates me when I hear critics say that TOS was very simple, had simple plots. They are not simple plots. There is a lot going on there.
Mm-hmm.
If you look closely at the plots. I mean, yes, there might be a fairly simple plot line on the surface, but beneath the surface, there are a lot of things. Many of them are uh, references to things that were going on in the culture at the time, things
Yeah.
that would have been call outs to the culture of the time, like going to a planet where everybody is kind of, you know, we just love each other. Everything's just fine. We just
Mm-hmm.
sit around and we're just high all the time. We're just high on love. And, and then they begin to realize that there's something sinister going on. Well, there was, that was relevant on a lot of levels
Yeah.
to what was going on in the late 60s
Or
in the United States and Canada at the
the
time.
black face, white face
Oh God,
people
yes, that was a
with the
great. That
civil
was
rights movement.
one of the, in my opinion, top 5 episodes.
Let that be your last
That
battle.
that be yeah.
Yep, yep,
Kirk's ego and his confidence are stitched together very tightly.
Mm-hmm.
And it leads to
yes,
his ability to command properly. And when you see that when he is separated from himself into a decision maker who's a lunatic and a calm, easygoing person who can't make his mind up about anything in that one episode where they're split by a transporter.
Right.
What American general does that remind you of? Should be on the tip of your tongue.
I don't know any American generals.
Patton.
I was about to
Uh-huh.
say Patton.
George Patton. I mean, if he had been an American general in World War II, he would have been just like George Patton, just leading with the ego.
So I think that mix and how it pertains to his leadership generates a significant amount of loyalty in his crew because the man can take a risk and win almost every time.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a time where he took a risk where he was totally fucked. So being on his crew, you got to think to yourself: there's a man with has a huge ego, but he can back it up. He has ultimate confidence. He can lead like nobody else. This man asked me to run into a warp chamber. I'll do it.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Because he would do it.
Yeah.
See, Patton used to get out in front, lead from the front of his troops. He let it be known that he was out in the front lines. He was out in a place where he could get shot.
Yeah.
And he frequently was, and his men loved him for that.
Yeah. Well, because who wants to follow a leader who won't risk
Who leads from
anything?
behind. Exactly. Exactly. So, an administrative guy.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
The false thing about Kirk is that, I mean, yes, he was a ladies' man, but he didn't really consummate, I guess is the word we're looking for, as much as everyone believes he did.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things where there was flirtation and maybe some kissing, but never really went literally all the way. There was only like 4 or 5 times where he actually
did the deed.
Did the deed.
You know, otherwise there would have been little Kirklings all through.
Patton wasn't a World War One general, Dectran. He may have served in World War One as like a lower soldier, but by the time he was a general, he was in World War Two.
Patton was served in World War II.
Like I said, I'm sure if he did serve in World War One, he was probably like a soldier.
I'll tell you in a minute. He was born in 1885. He attended VMI. He first saw combat in 1916's Pancho Villa expedition, and he was in World War I as part of the U.S. Tank Corps of the American Expeditionary Forces, and he also commanded the tank school in France, and he led tanks into combat and was wounded near the end of the war.
Interesting.
He was an armor commander in France and was and got the Purple Heart near.
So he was like Commander Patton
in southeastern France. Yeah,
Commander
Must be
Patton.
why my dad liked him so much. My dad was a tank commander in World War II.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he was. I think he was a captain.
Ah.
When he won the Bronze Star and Silver Star.
My dad won the Bronze Star.
Oh, cool.
Really?
Yeah.
So have we covered everything we wanted to cover about Kirk? Is there anything else we wanted to say about Kirk before we cover Spock?
See, the thing about Kirk, one final thing about Kirk is his relationships with his other officers. Now, we're going to cover those as we cover the other officers.
Yeah.
Every other officer that we cover is going to be, one of the things you have to cover is their relationship to the
Absolutely.
The Kirk.
The Kirk.
Yeah.
I like that.
Because he is he has his own gravitational field in this series. He is absolutely totally the center of the series. He's totally the center of the show, and he was so completely the center of the show. I mean, that's different from TOS. Interestingly enough, I think that the one with the lady captain, that's much more Kirk-like. She's much more the center of all things in that than TOS. TOS has a bunch of stars who command lots and lots of attention. The lady captain one, what's her name? Janeway?
Janeway, yeah.
Is more in the very big ego, big model, you know, big hair.
Mm.
She's much more of a Kirk. You're absolutely
Yeah,
right.
much more of a Kirk model. But anyway, so I guess we're ready to go on to the rest of the bridge crew. But I was just pointing out that we have to talk about the how they orbit Kirk. Kirk does not orbit anybody.
No.
Yeah, I want to make a quick point. He treats everybody with respect in his crew,
Yep.
but he treats them different. Each one of them he treats differently,
Yes.
but not less or more, just differently. So we can move on.
So Spock. Spock is Spock is awesome. Next. No.
Yes,
It
correct.
he's like Spock is probably one of the most complicated characters in Star Trek, I would say.
He's the most complicated, simple character in Star Trek.
Yeah.
He should be a simple character because he has no emotions. He's based on logic, and he's utterly complex.
Yeah, that's not right though. He has emotions. He just suppresses them.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I mean, yes, his emotions are so suppressed, and he wants to suppress them. He wants to suppress his human side.
Yes.
And if he was a true Vulcan, he would be able to do that through the Kolinar. But because
Right.
he's half human,
Because he's half human, he's a mongrel, a half breed.
easy.
Poor Spock.
Jeez.
And but he's very proud of his Vulcanness.
Yes.
And anyway, so
Well, there's some question as to whether Kirk is the best captain or not, but I don't think there's any question that Leonard Nimoy and Spock is the best first officer. I don't think
Yes.
there's any debate really there.
No. Absolutely.
There are other goods, but I think he's head and shoulders above everybody else.
I would agree
Yep.
because he doesn't just butter up his captain. He will go and tell his captain when his captain is wrong. And he will also take the risks in
And
his own way.
He also does the actual job of a first officer, along with a science officer, very well. He understands how to be a first officer. Kirk says we should do this, and he will say, well, maybe we won't, we shouldn't do that. And Kirk will say, no, we're going to do this, and Spock kind of raises an eyebrow and says, okay, we're going to do that. It's his responsibility to provide alternatives, but when Kirk makes up his mind, Spock's mind's also made up at that point.
you're right, and you made a very interesting point. Go back to that just for a second. He is not just the first officer; he's the science officer, and on this vessel, that's very important.
Yeah.
Because I remember as many years ago as that was, and it was a long time ago, being, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Roll credits.
Huh?
Roll credits. I'm a big fan of Cinema Sins, so whenever you say something iconic about his show, he usually says roll credits.
Roll credits. Yeah, exactly. That's it is to it was so tied up in exploration of the unknown, and it was so mysterious and so awesome to us. See, most people who go and look at TOS, that's not the first Star Trek they've ever seen. They've seen TNG and Lady Captain Star Trek.
Yeah.
And DS9.
Anyway, Voyager, come on.
Anyway, whatever it is. I can't remember her name.
Voyager's not that bad. Jesus Christ.
All right. But they've seen other iterations of Star Trek. When we saw TOS for back in 1968, and we were watching this stuff for the first time,
Yeah.
we were absolutely blown away. Our minds were transformed. You had to have been there to understand how utterly transformative, how much it changed the way people thought. People stopped looking down at the ground and began looking up at the sky. It changed this. I'm really not overstating this. This series and writings, the science fiction writing that was going on, and other cinema and TV stuff that was happening, but this series in particular made people stop looking at the ground and start looking at the heavens.
Yeah.
We really stuck, and plus the stuff that was going on with the Mercury and Gemini program, and it really looked like, my God, we're actually going to put somebody on the moon. And then through one of the most daring, scariest, if you look at the actual mechanics of what was the Apollo program was, what it actually took to put men on the moon and get them back, it's a bloody fucking miracle.
Oh yeah.
That successfully and didn't kill but 3 people, and that was in a stupidly preventable situation. We should have.
That wasn't even in space. It was on
Yeah, it was on a goddamn launch pad.
Hello, Harry. Harry says, after a time, you may find that having is not such a pleasing thing as wanting. It is not logical, but is true. Yep.
Oh, that is such a great line from Spock.
Often true. Yeah.
Yeah. What episode is that from?
That's from. That is from. The. That is actually from The Undiscovered Country, I think.
No,
that's from one of the movies.
No, it's from the show.
It's from the show. It's from
when Spock fights Kirk to the death.
Yes, it's
when we talk about his girlfriend.
Yeah,
and Stan. What was his name?
Right.
Stan was the boyfriend that she wanted.
Amok Time.
Amok Time.
That's what it's from.
Yeah, that's what.
What was her name? His name was Stan. I can't remember her name though. T'Pring, maybe.
T'Pring. Yeah.
T'Ping or T'Pau or
T'Pring.
T'Pau was the person who was going to do the wedding.
Yeah, it was T'Pring.
So, yeah.
Hello, Scribe.
Scribe is here. Nice to see you.
Hey, Scribe.
Yep, T'Pring, says Harry. Or T'Pring. So Spock.
Still got a couple brain cells left.
Spock is. He's just. And you can even put up with his cold logic because you know that he may be coldly logical and he may be suppressing his emotions, but like Kirk, he will take the risks.
But and the other thing was, he is much, I would even say that in many ways he got to show his chops as a straightforward administrator in terms of the lines he got. When Kirk was away, he turns into the, clipped administrator. We're going to do this. We're going to do that, and he's getting suggestions, well, we better do this. We got to avoid that. And he says, no, we're going to do this, we're going to do A, B, C, D, and E. We're going to do what the captain told us to do. And meanwhile, other characters, sometimes even major characters, are fretting and suggesting, no, we're going to, if we do that, bad things will happen. And Spock says, nope, we're going to stay the course. He's a very he's very good at leading in the absence of the captain. He's very good at running the ship. He does just exactly what you would hope an executive officer would do, what a first officer would do. I just, I love me some Spock.
Spock was MGTOW before it was cool, says Grillen.
Well played. Yeah.
It was also written in a way that allowed him to be participatory and key without taking the show. Maybe that's partly because Shatner wouldn't let him, but you'll notice, like in the movie, where they're fighting the invisible Klingon bird of prey, Spock stops, looks at the captain, and says, "Gas." And Kirk looks back at me. He says, "Gas, Captain." He says that ship expends fuel to impulse power like any other vessel. And then Nicole or Uhuru said, "What about all that equipment that we're carrying to catalog gas?" It's tsunami. Well, things got to have a tailpipe. And then Kirk kind of looks at Spock, and Spock says, "Doctor, would you care to join me in performing surgery on a torpedo?" And he says, "Fasting." And they take off. So they're doing this work, and while they're doing this, Kirk's still on the bridge saying, hard left, turn over, fire phasers. He's still running the ship while Nimoy is doing the background work. He's not taking the spotlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what was great about how he was written. He was never written to be the captain, but he was written to do everything the captain needs of a science officer.
And by the way, that is a very well written and very enjoyable scene.
I agree.
I love that scene. So
Harry says people cast Spock as sometimes illogical due to his human hack. I think he sees how things tend to work out for Kirk, so he sees the logic of being illogical on occasion.
Well, that's specifically in the episode Galileo 7, where they're orbiting the planet that they've just expended all their fuel, and they shunt the fuel out to the rear of the ship as it goes across the front of the planet, so the Enterprise can see them and turn around, go back, and get the shuttlecraft. And he says to McCoy that I've tried everything else. I think it was time for me to do something illogical.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he specifically says it.
Grill and Pirate Pete says, plus they gave Nimoy some say in the character. The Vulcan nerve pinch was his idea because he thought a karate knockout would be too barbaric for the logical Vulcan. Yep.
That was the Vulcan salute. That was also his idea. Because Leonard Nimoy is Jewish, and that is actually a Jewish sign.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So
it's a blessing
he
sign,
brought a lot.
I believe.
Yeah, he brought a lot to that role.
So, Mr. Sulu over at the con. I liked Sulu, especially in the movies. He got more of a chance to.
Now we're doing TOS people, or are we doing TOS characters both in TOS and the movies?
We're kind of just doing TOS
wherever they occur.
I think.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because we talked a bit about the movies, there was no Enterprise movies, so. The rest of them, except for Voyager and DS9, will be able to incorporate how they act in the movies, too.
Yeah, because Sulu's role grew substantially in the movies.
It did.
He's basically, II captain in TOS. He doesn't have a lot of dramatic turns.
Except for
the fencing scene, right?
I was gonna say, except for the naked time where he runs through the ship with his katana. That's kind of funny.
but that's just a one-off. That's not. There's nothing typical for him. Where it's done to develop his character.
There was an episode where he was freezing on the planet, where he played a big part in that episode too. You guys remember that episode where Kirk was split into two pieces?
Yeah.
And they couldn't beam him up.
Yeah.
He was on the planet. And
was the third season?
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the episode.
I could use a pot of hot coffee was one of the phrases I remember that episode.
But
he and Chekhov played well off each other.
And there was one point where Sulu couldn't be on, and that was when Chekhov's role really expanded.
Mm-hmm.
What was the deal with that, where Sulu couldn't make filming for one of the seasons for like half the season, and so they just wrote much more stuff for Chekhov.
When Pirate Pete just said Sulu's TOS career was hampered by Takei's contract and to him taking a movie role. That's why they had to bring on Chekhov.
Okay, that's probably what I'm trying to remember here. My old diseased brain is trying to remember. Was and that really brought Walter Koenig's role much more into to the forefront because uh, anyway, um, in TOS, except for the one or two one offs where they said, hey, let's do something different. Let's give Sulu some actual lines to speak other than aye aye captain and yes sir,
Yeah.
uh, and actually you know give him something to do. Um, Let
I
him
agree.
run through the ship with a katana.
He was kind of a like
He was
uh,
almost a prop.
he was, yeah.
And but then when you get to the movies, they say, oh well, he's for one thing, he's diverse, so you practically got to give him some stuff. So.
He was always the guy in charge when Kirk and Spock left the bridge, though.
Yeah, but he didn't really do much.
Yeah, and yeah, you have the bridge while we're gone, and then
Yeah.
you never,
But it was always Sulu had the bridge. It was never Uhura. It was never Chekhov. It was always
Sulu.
Sulu.
It was never her. I had the bridge. Why?
Wasn't it a fencing sword?
Because he was already there and he has a higher rank.
What? But was he higher? Did he have a higher rank than Uhura?
Yeah.
They were both lieutenants, weren't they?
Yeah, but she was a lieutenant when she first started. When they first put her on the bridge, she was an ensign. She became a lieutenant, and he was already one. So seniority.
I don't remember her being an ensign.
Yeah, it's in the Wikipedia, I think.
Okay,
Remember, was where I saw it.
I would. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't remember her. I don't
she
remember her being called an ensign.
Yeah, she wasn't even wearing command red. She was in yellow.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
That was not long. That was not for very long. I'll tell you.
No, because like the first 3 episodes, she wasn't even on the bridge at all.
Yeah.
They had other people there.
All right.
Then she showed up in yellow, and then she turned into red.
All right. Well, that's fair enough. Fair enough. So he had rank on her, and that would make sense that he was SOPA, senior officer present afloat. Well, it's not afloat, but anyway, that's the way they do it in the Navy.
Well, you were floating in space.
Floating in space, absolutely. Actually, everybody's always floating in space.
Yes.
That's not important right now.
So, Sulu's, there's not much really to talk about with Sulu because, his character didn't really.
It's almost exactly the same amount to talk about with Chekhov.
He did have some good parts.
Except his accent is cooler.
No, Chekhov had a bit more depth than Sulu did. Chekhov had a bit more time to develop.
Mm.
He's got the loyalty to Kirk, but he's got the strange patriotism to Russia, even though
he got to speak Russian that one time.
And I thought that it was a cool character trait.
Yeah.
That even though he's part of the Federation of Planets, he's still
very,
oh, this Russian invented this, and people will correct him.
Invented.
Yeah,
and he'll be like, no, it was Russia. It was Russia.
Yeah.
It's
airplane was invented in Russia.
I find it very endearing. I think it's really, really cool that
it was well written. Yeah.
That there's still
but
that
he ended up
to...
being a bigger part than Sulu to me.
Well, because Sulu had to go.
Yeah.
And do a movie. They gave Chekhov more chance to develop. Which is why he got bigger parts in the movies.
Yeah.
I think that's a reason why they made him a more interesting character than Sulu too, is a little bit of getting back at Sulu for taking off for the movies. I think there's a little bit of button pushing there. Oh, really? You're going to go to a movie? You don't consider this important enough? Well, wait till you see what we do with Chekhov.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, you're all typecast, just so you know. Yeah. So, we're going to...
because he went and played... Girl and Pirate Pete looked it up. He went and played some, captain of in a Vietnam Great Green Berets movie. But I think he played a Vietnamese.
That's right. It was.
person.
It was like a John Wayne movie or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was the Green Berets.
Yes, it was.
I think it might have been.
Yeah.
I think it might have been. Yeah. And um, yeah, they didn't have phasers then. Well, anyway,
But yeah, Chekhov is. Plus, there was a couple of episodes where Chekhov was the focus. Yeah, that's true.
He played some great parts too. The whole Billie Holiday
Yeah.
and how he played off that girl, how they were flirting.
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
kissing and stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
That was great,
yeah.
great scenes.
Yeah.
So
Chekhov was great.
Chekhov was awesome.
Next. No.
Yeah, no, I'm ready. Let's get this. Let's get to Mr. Scott.
Scotty.
Mr.
Scotty.
Scott.
I love Scotty so much, and I don't know if it's just because I am half Scottish, but he loves his ship. He loves his ship. Like, you can tell he's an engineer's engineer.
When he
Right.
gets restricted to his cabin and he's happy because it will give him some time to catch up with his technical manuals, you started laughing because you knew what I was talking about before you
Yep.
got there, didn't you, Hammer?
In the Trouble with
Absolutely.
Tribbles episode.
My favorite episode.
Ah,
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Well,
you,
my
sir.
technical reading. He's just shaking his head, and he's like, "Jeez."
And
Scotty.
like, and the thing is, he's so loyal to his captain, but the thing is what made him mad enough to punch a Klingon
Yes.
wasn't the insults to Kirk.
So,
It was the insults to the Enterprise.
yeah. So
Captain,
Shows
they
how
called
we
the
know gravity.
Enterprise a
Oh, good.
garbage
Slow
skull.
it down to me, Alex. Okay. Lands on foot. Why did you do that?
The kids are learning about gravity. Well, that's
Okay.
good.
Okay.
interesting. Okay.
Where there will be no Tribble at all. Yes. When Scotty beams the Tribbles into the Klingon ship, where there'll be no Tribble at all.
Even
Like-
more to the Klingon ship. They know there'd be no trouble at all.
And Kirk's like, Scotty, you didn't beam them into space, did you? And he's like, oh, Captain, that would be cruel. How could you say such a thing?
I love that. I love that episode so much. It just that is why my minion animal is Tribbles.
Yeah.
It's just so
Yeah.
wonderful.
What's the movie where Kirk steals the Enterprise to take
Search
McCoy
for-
back? Is it Search for Spock? Where he
Yeah.
takes McCoy? And Scotty's working on the other ship, the one that has transwarp drive,
Yep.
and he talks to the captain, and he leaves and gets in the turbo shaft, and turbo shaft asks him where he wants to go, and he says, "What?" And the turbo shaft says, "Thank you." And he says, "Up your shaft."
Yep. Up your shaft.
It reminds me
Or-
so much of my dad.
Or there's the
Computer.
hello computer. Hello.
I love it
Keyboard.
so much.
How
How
quaint!
How
quaint.
quaint.
Oh, a keyboard. How quaint.
Transparent aluminum. It's the guy's voice. It cracks. It's like that just makes it so much better. But that'd be worth something to you, laddie.
Where's that to you, lad?
How do we know we didn't invent this stuff? Gotta be whales here.
Oh, or
So many
when
great lines.
Grillin' Pirate Pete says, or when Scotty meets Geordie. Good lord. Or you don't actually tell your captain how long it'll take, do you? Good lord. How do you get your reputation as a miracle worker?
Yes.
He got all the great lines. He got
Yeah.
most of the computer voices and all that kind of stuff too. Nomad, that was Jimmy doing.
Yeah.
I am Nomad, I am perfect. That was Jimmy doing that voice.
Was that
This
really? I
unit
didn't-
functions
I didn't remember that.
inadequately.
He was also Landrew.
I am
I knew he was Landrew. I didn't realize that he was no.
He was Nomad. Yeah,
Cool.
I am Nomad. I am perfect.
I just Scotty and his character is, even though he gets the quippy, funny lines, he's a he would he would die for his captain.
He
would
doesn't just get quippy lines; he gets really emotional lines at the
he
end of
does.
one Star Trek. He says, "My God, that's a big ship." Or no, the Bone says, "My God, that's a big ship." And Scotty says, "Not as half as big as her captain, I think."
Mm-hmm.
Great line.
Great.
And
Oh
he's
man.
talking about Sulu.
Yep.
Yes.
What a fantastic line! Whoever wrote that's genius.
Yep. Yeah, that just
That's the heart of the show right there.
Yeah.
couldn't agree more.
It's genuine admiration between two fellow officers.
And you
Yep.
can tell, like, the way these actors played it. Like, these characters, they may argue with each other sometimes, but these main characters are genuinely friends.
Mm-hmm.
And the actors do a really good job of portraying that. And they're good friends. Like, they're not your superficial
It's like a brotherhood.
television friend. Yeah, it is like a brotherhood. It's, I would do anything for you, but if you screw up, best believe I'm gonna tell you.
That's
Right.
got to be a tough thing for Shatner because he's lost 3 of them already, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's lost
To a Nimoy and
Nimoy.
Bones and
Bones.
the
Scotty.
Force.
And-
Yeah.
and Jimmy, yeah. So, and then I wish they did more with Uhura's character.
Yeah. Are we gonna get to Bones somewhere in here? Because I thought
Yeah,
he was
we're gonna
higher.
get. I want to save. I want to. We did the doctors last, so I
Oh, okay.
figured. We
We
did
probably
Phlox.
should stop by and speak about Nichelle Nichols.
Otherwise, we'll be racist.
No, I
Yes.
thought we were gonna come back to her. That's fine. We can do that.
Yeah, with back of the bus. No.
Oh,
Oh shit! Did not say that. Not say
So I
We're
do.
on fire today. You know that,
I
don't you?
that. Jesus.
I do wish that
Demonetized.
we would have seen more on Uhura, because I think that
Maybe when she-
Nichelle could have
What do you mean?
and would have done a good job had they given her more things to do.
You mean as a what kind of role or what kind of script do you think? And I'm not challenging you. I'm just asking the question. Would have been right for her to show off what she had in terms of her acting chops?
I think she could have been.
I would have liked to seen her command the ship.
Yeah, I think because she was on the bridge the most at comms, or that she could have and probably should have been given a promotion to and been given the ability to command, because you can, especially in the movies, you can see that she can think on her feet.
There were scenes where she was at ops. She
Yeah.
sat in front. So I
Yeah.
mean,
Right. That's true.
I would have liked to have seen, most of the bridge crew removed for one reason, injury, or some of them were down the planet, and it was just her and maybe 2 or 3 other people, and she actually took charge of the ship. That would
Yeah.
have been fantastic,
Yeah.
especially
I
in the
agree.
time period that we're talking about here. I mean, just having a black woman on the bridge was unheard of. She's actually going to run the ship. Holy mackerel!
Yeah.
That would have been.
Well, Grillin' Pirate Pete puts up a good point, and he says, was lack of Uhura an issue of race at the time? An issue of the actor's talent, or was it the lack of writer's skill at writing for a
Writers.
woman?
It was writers,
I think it was writers, yeah.
because Gene Roddenberry was very adamant that she be on the show, and she was going to quit. And I guess it was Mandela. Was it Mandela? Some leader told her, "No, don't quit. Black woman has to be on the bridge of the Enterprise. You have to stay on the show."
Mm.
I don't know if it was her or if it was the other guy.
Nichols was tempted to lead the series as she wanted to pursue a Broadway career. However, a conversation with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Martin Luther King. That's who it was.
She has said that King personally encouraged her to stay on the series, telling her that he was a big fan of Star Trek. He said she could not give up because she was playing a vital role model for black children and young women across the
Hmm.
country, as well as for other children who would see blacks appearing as equals. In an interview, she said that the day after she told Roddenberry she planned to leave the show, she was at a fundraiser at the NAACP and was told there was a big fan who wanted to meet her. She said, I thought it was a Trekkie. So I said, sure. I looked across the room and there was Dr. Martin Luther King walking toward me with this big grin on his face, big shit-eating grin. He reached out to me and he says, yes, Ms. Nichols, I am your greatest fan. He said
Oh,
that Star
man.
Trek was the only show that he and his wife Coretta would allow their three little children to stay up and watch.
Oh
She
wow.
told King about her plans to leave the series. I never got to tell him why because he said, you can't. You're part of history.
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty powerful stuff. Martin Luther
Yeah.
King, who would have thought?
Yeah, interesting thing. So anyway, when she told Roddenberry what King had said, he wept. He broke down and cried. When former NASA astronaut Mae Jemison, who is black, I don't know if you know
Hmm.
that,
Yep.
has cited Nichols' role of Lieutenant Uhura as her inspiration for wanting to become an astronaut.
Yep. Yep.
And Whoopi Goldberg has also spoken of Nichols' influence.
Yep.
Yeah, that girl was a transporter chief in the Next Generation.
Goldberg asked for a role on Star Trek: The Next Generation, and the character Guinan was specially created, while Jemison appeared on an episode of the series also.
Yep.
And I wonder what that's interesting.
Girl and
What
Pirate Pete says in chat when she went back to Gene's office to tell him that she would stay on the show, he handed her back her resignation letter already torn into confetti.
Here, I guess you can have this then.
she actually appeared on Star Trek as herself on Star Trek 30 Years and Beyond, but she was on Star Trek The Next Generation as Lieutenant Palmer in the episode Second Chances.
Oh.
Interesting concept. I did not know that.
Is that where she appeared as the transporter chief? There was some astronaut, some female black astronaut
Yeah.
who showed up on Star Trek Next Generation as a transporter chief. She was wearing yellow.
And that's her.
Is that her?
Yeah.
I'm looking up Second Chances right now. Hang on. Blah, blah, blah. Talk amongst yourselves.
So that should bring us to Bones, which is the great way to end the stream because Bones is awesome. Bones
Next.
is. Yeah. Bones is just. And the actor who plays him, DeForest Kelly, is phenomenal.
Also awesome.
There's
Also the best doctor.
you know what?
He's
I
Hell,
think so.
hell of a doctor.
I can't, not just because of his proficiency in the time period that he was in, but because of his relationship with Kirk and the crew. It was much different than all the other doctors.
He's a doctor that you could
Tell
have
anything to? Yeah.
tell anything to, have at your bedside, and know that, like, you could sense the comforting presence.
You're
Like-
dying, you want him sitting next to you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Phlox is an outsider. Voyager's doctor, the doctor from Voyager, doesn't have the bedside manner, not
If
human.
now
with
if I
qualifying reason.
needed some redonkulously complicated neurosurgery, I would
Yeah.
want Doc.
Yeah, I agree.
But if I was like in hospice care or something like that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bones.
I would want Bones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point where we're not even talking about Bashir.
No, fuck Bashir. Bashir's annoying.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a chick and you show up in his sickbay, you may as well just forget about being healed and start
Just ask
trying
the
to
youth
rebuff
euthanasia.
him.
I'm trying to make
For
sure you don't
his-
get pregnant, right?
Yeah.
What a horn dog.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. I
Annoying
can't
little
stand
bird.
Bashir.
He's annoying.
Anyway.
He's a kind of a sociopath, really.
Yeah. Do you know that DeForest Kelly, up until the point where he played Star Trek, all of his previous acting has all been as a bad guy?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I
All
did
right.
know
Well,
that.
then maybe that's more for the people in chat to know. If you guys already knew that, somebody has to not know.
Grillin' Pirate Pete says, would stand at your back during a firefight to protect you, cure you when you need it, and not betray you by having an affair with a space ghost.
I'll be right back.
Yep.
Okay.
But
Oh, Grillin' Pirate Pete, you're not wrong.
do you know where Bones gets his nickname?
No.
It's a play on sawbones. Sawbones is an epithet for physicians. It's an
Hmm.
old nickname for physicians from the days when, physicians, one of their big tricks for a long time was if you had an infected foot or infected hand, their trick was to amputate it.
Yeah.
Just that was, they didn't have a lot of tricks in the bag to solve. And uh, infection, but they knew that infections would spread from there to become a systemic infection and would kill you.
Yeah.
And so they knew that cutting off the affected part, they could do that safely and they could keep the area around where they cut the thing off clean enough and safe enough. And they could cauterize it. It was just a brutal operation,
Yeah.
but it would save your
It
life.
worked.
Exactly. And so, anyway, Sawbones is they literally had bone saws. I've seen these things, and it it was that's where that came from. But in the 2009 Star Trek film, Star Trek reboot version, when McCoy first meets Kirk, he states, "The ex wife took the whole damn planet in the divorce. All I got left is my bones," which also could be where his nickname came from.
Yeah.
I disagree, though, because I think that is retconning
I think so too.
to an extent, and believe that the original thing is it just comes from Sawbones. And I think if you check back with the notes from Roddenberry, that's what you would find.
TOS says Bones was Kirk's conscience. Yep.
Oh, that's a good thought. That's interesting. I agree.
Yep.
He certainly was.
Because like Hammer said earlier, because when
And
there's a
Spock's
couple of
heart.
times, yeah, Spock's heart and Kirk's conscience.
He had a huge role to play, and DeForest Kelly hit it out of the park.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely brilliantly done. Well done, lad. Well done indeed. Just
Oh wow, way to! That's a great analogy, Grillin' Pirate Pete. He said Kirk is the id, Spock is the super ego, Bones is the ego keeping the two in check. Wow,
wait.
that's deep.
Who is the id?
Kirk.
Kirk is the id, and
Spock is the super ego. Bones is the ego keeping the two in check.
yeah, maybe you have a little problem with the superego, but the rest of it I agree with. Yeah, very definitely. So Freudian mind modeling is tricky, but I guess that's what keeps me young. Ha! Get it? See what I did there?
I
Anyway,
do. I do see what you did there. It was very clever.
anyway,
Um,
moving right along.
so I think
So we've really kind of covered most
we've
of the
covered the whole main cast, which
one
is what.
one of the one of the things we didn't I did want to say about Nichelle Nichols with respect to Kirk.
Mm,
There was always the possibility because they were the right attractiveness level for each other and they were in the right age range for each other. There could have been a little bit of how between them.
I like Scotty and Uhura.
You like Scotty and O'Hara?
Yeah,
Interesting. Kind of
because they are together in the one of the
May and
movies.
October type of thing. She's a lot younger than he is.
Because they even suggested in I think the Undiscovered Country that they're an item.
I like that from a in terms of psychological complementing each other. I think they go together better as a couple.
Yeah.
But in terms of Kirk screwing everything in a skirt, um, I was always surprised that there wasn't any flicker of romance, and there wasn't. Was there? I didn't miss any, did I?
No.
Does anybody chat help us out? Did
Kirk or Shatner purposely screwed up all the non-kissing takes between him and Uhura, so they'd have to use the kissing.
exactly. So I don't know. It's kind
Oh.
of interesting. One other item I wanted to say. The in the Star Trek reboot film in 2009. Do you know who took over the role of McCoy?
No.
You ready for this? Éomer from Lord of the Rings.
Really?
Carl Urban. Not a bad call. Not a bad
No, he
call
was
at
the
all.
only. Him and Simon Pegg were the only people I liked in the reboots.
Yeah. Yep.
I found Zachary Quinto to be awful.
Oh God.
I found
Jeez.
what's his face, Chris Pine, to be
Chris Pine is just
awful.
Forget about it. Just
And but Simon Pegg as Scotty, awesome.
Simon Pegg was awesome.
And Carl Urban as
was
McCoy, great.
Yep. I enjoyed Carl Urban very much. And Chris Pine made me vomit.
Yeah.
That was just ugh. So there you go. But anyway, just wanted to get that out there. I think those are all my asterisks and footnotes.
Any mention of Nurse Chapel or Yeoman Rand?
Yeoman Rand was hot.
Yeah.
That whole thing where she on the planet, they all got infected. She says, "I used to try to get you to look at my legs on the bridge." She says, "Look at my legs now," and she says, "Well, I have black stuff all over her legs."
Yeah. So yeah, I think we've covered everything, which means next week we move on to TNG, which is my favorite series because that's what I grew up with.
That's going to go a little long because it's a much bigger crew.
Yeah, it's going to go twice as long as this at least.
Especially if Irate's there with us, so.
We've got a lot to say. And, I mean, just the Data discussion.
Data, Geordi, and Picard.
Data could be an entire stream just with what you and I have to say about it.
Yeah. And Worf. Worf is complex.
Worf is complex.
Riker's a lot more complex than you think he is on the surface.
Yep. I love the character Riker. Actually, Riker is my second favorite character on
Lieutenant Babyface.
Do
you remember that?
Say it again. I'm sorry. What?
Lieutenant Babyface.
Lieutenant Babyface. Yeah.
Yes.
Controversial opinion. I like Janeway better than Kirk. Ooh.
Okay.
Cannibalistic wizard.
Yeah.
See, and I don't
Skip. Leave him alone.
I don't dislike Janeway.
I wish you luck in life.
Janeway is probably, well, for me, Janeway, Archer's always going to be my least favorite.
Janeway's my number 3. It's Picard, Kirk, and then Janeway.
See, for me, it's Picard. Since I've rewatched Deep Space Nine, it's Picard, Kirk, Sisko, Janeway, Archer.
A lot of people like Sisko.
Yeah, I like Sisko better than Janeway. So
but Sisko,
Kirk, Picard, Sisko.
Like if Janeway was if Janeway and Sisko were taught, like Janeway would be here and Sisko would like right here, like so it's not
close.
Yeah. But.
So they're very close.
Yeah. But so next week, join us at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, next Saturday for the Next Generation discussion. And join us tomorrow. Join Pinkalo and I tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern for the Blind and the Special. And of course, Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern, the coffee stream. And Skep, are you going to be on Minions tonight?
I am going to be on Minions tonight.
All
Are you?
right. I don't think so. I haven't heard or haven't DM'd Harry, so I don't think. I usually have to DM him before today, so
Okay.
I forgot. So
I think it's going to be very informal.
okay.
And kind of like open mic.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be thematic. If it is, I'm going to be woefully unprepared. But what's different about that? Anyway.
And thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. Have yourselves a very great and safe Saturday night. And remember, please head on over to blindpress.net, grab yourself some merch, or leave a little tip. You will get shouted out on the next stream.
Oh, and one other thing. Head over to blindpress.net. It's got some great stuff.
All right, guys. Have a great night. Thank you to my panel for joining me, and I'll see you guys later.
Thanks for coming out, guys. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.